What up, what up, what up? It's your boys, April Fool's Pod, back at it again, episode 145?
145.
145. We are here with some friends.
Special guest.
Ben Wild and Desi. Appreciate you guys coming out today.
Hey, thanks. Happy to be here. I was like, dude, you lean into the microphone? Do you mind? No.
Yeah. So, my friend Ben here is actually, he wrote, directed, and filmed a movie.
Yeah, so the first thing I'll say is don't be a goon. Follow April Fool's podcast. And thank you again for us, the opportunity to be here. Yeah, no, so basically, yes, we're doing a mini press tour to promote a script that I wrote, and here Desi helped make a movie for a coming of age that was shot here in Albuquerque called Park Closes at 10 p.m. So we've been working on that for like 2 years, and we just wrapped up filming in July of 2024, and we're in post-production now. So we're just trying to get the word out and tell the story of what actually got us here.
There we go. What better place than April Fool's Pod?
Right?
There we go.
Yeah, so I guess I kind of have a lot. I'm just interested on how it. So you wrote you write a script, right? And then you directed it also. So you have to get cameras, you have to get all the production, and then you have to find people to act in it. Or are you in it?
Well, I mean, first of all, I had no clue what I was doing.
So this was on a whim too, you said, right?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. No, so here's the story. I'm hitting up an old friend, and there's the ESPN alert. I'm hitting up an old friend. We're getting coffee at Little Bear in Nob Hill, and he's like, dude, I just started writing a movie. And I was like, oh, dude, I've kind of always wanted to do that sort of thing. And he starts telling me about it, and I was like, that's awesome. But I also know myself really well, and I know that accountability and follow through are like the hardest things, right? It's really easy to start writing a movie, really hard to finish writing one. So I was like, all right, how about this? We both write movies, and we meet bi-weekly for coffee and hold each other accountable. So we do that. We meet 2 weeks later. And I've had like this general idea. I'm like, like a coming of age would be sick. I listen to old indie rock music while I'm on my bicycle, and I kind of picture like little music videos. And so I come to coffee to meet up with my buddy, and I start describing this idea of a coming of age shot here in Albuquerque, something like easy like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, here's 10 pages, dude. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And so I took that personally. So the next time, 2 weeks later, I show up, and I've got like 19 pages. I've got them printed and like highlighted, and I give him a copy stapled, and I'm like, check this out. And he's like, oh, that's nice. So, I've got like 27. Oh, and I made a playlist that, is like the vibe of the movie, and I'm like, dang. So I just got really competitive about it, and we went back and forth, and after like 6 months or so, he just kind of stopped. He started focusing on like a grad program or something, and I just kept going with it. And at some point in that trajectory, I was like, I'm going to write it to make it, right? I know this is Albuquerque, right? We're from Albuquerque. There's a huge movie scene going on right now. And I knew via connections where I could actually like film, right?
Right.
So you'll see when we show the trailer, you might even recognize some locations like public parks, schools, tennis places, like a whole bunch of different places where I was like, yeah, I know I could go over there. I could film there. I could ask a friend for the hookup. Differential brewing was a big one. So yeah, that's kind of what we did. I put the idea together. I spent like a year and a half writing a movie, and I'd get up at like 5 a.m., write for like 45 minutes, go to the gym, and then work. And randomly, at times I'd look for 15, 20 minutes to continue working on the script, and it sucked until I brought a friend in who was a much better writer. Shout out to Seth Erickson.
Shout out AI or what?
Yeah. I tried. Dude, I literally tried. Okay, so, yeah, we'll come back to the story. I literally, when ChatGPT over the course of this gets popular, so I'm like literally making an account, and I'm like, what's a good scene for a coming of age? Write some dialogue for a coming of age, because I had no clue what I was doing.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, well, we've been messing around with ChatGPT on the show, and we'll just like our Christmas show, we made like an entire like
a scenario with like 3 different we did Santa and like Buddy the Elf and like The Rock as Santa, and it gave us a whole little short story on a battle royale between Christmas characters, and we read it on
Who won?
The Rock Santa. Yeah, Santa. The Rock as Santa is unstoppable.
Dang, I thought Buddy the Elf, dude. Buddy the Elf, the sleeper.
And it went into detail on all their powers and how they would lose.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, it was crazy.
We added Who else did we add in there?
Frosty the Snowman.
Yeah, but we added
Krampus.
Jack Frost.
Okay,
Like
I
the
like
bad,
it.
the bad
Good Christmas
Frosty.
movie, dude. It'd probably be better than Red One.
Krampus.
Oh,
Dude,
dude. Have you
dude,
seen that?
I liked it.
I didn't.
You did?
I enjoyed it.
I didn't,
love trash
I didn't
movies.
like the
I don't like The
preview.
Rock.
Hey,
Really?
Whoa.
okay.
Oh.
I don't.
That's funny. No, the Rock's cool, dude.
Yeah, he's cool. I just think he's like a cock kind of.
Dang.
Sheesh.
I don't know. We don't have to get into it, but yeah, keep going.
We
Where
will
do
get
you
into
come
it one
this,
day, though.
Desi?
So during his writing process, I get brought in just to bounce ideas around, just to kind of help remember things we did, activities that we got into, to kind of help tell that story and make it feel like a lived story of what somebody does during a high school summer.
Okay.
And so we would discuss ideas, we would have memories, and then I was really helpful during location scouting.
Gotcha.
I helped a lot with locations, making sure that
Big time.
we had permissions to get into places, confirming, what times we could use spaces, what spaces we were allowed and weren't allowed into. And yeah, just calling a lot of people I knew, a lot of favors in, and seeing what we could get done with what little budget we had.
Yeah, that was like my next question.
funding.
Like, how do you I'm gonna make a movie, and then you got to figure out where did you get your funds from? Do you have people like that came in and?
Definitely. And there's like a bajillion answers to your question because it's
Yeah.
not just about funding. It's about what funds do. And that's kind of like that was my biggest takeaway is what do I
Allocating
actually
them.
need to buy? Well, I guess at some point I reframed funding and as like time. Like what does money actually get me? Money gets me ability to film. And so I was just kind of like, well, if I can film faster, I need less money. So against all the advice of people I know in film industry, we filmed 89 pages in 6 days at 9 locations with 27 people's help. So, I mean, a big part of that is humans helping, friends, family. So, like, a lot of shout-outs to be made. Seth, Riley, Macy, Shane, Kelly, Parker, Julie, Rick, Eve, Marina, Mark. Keep going, Desi.
Oh, jeez.
Shout out.
I mean,
Atkins,
all the actors.
all the actors,
Atkins,
yeah, Atkins. So,
the people at TCA,
Yeah,
Tino and Tony
yeah.
from Differential, Renee from La Serenita,
Yep.
Gabe from The Quarters. Yeah. Just
Yeah, well,
That's
I
basically
can
what it
imagine,
was.
Yeah,
So basically I tried to find out how many people I'd need and what they actually needed because I'm clueless. I'm not in the movie industry. It's not my gig. It's not my thing. I kind of, I'm driving down here. I'm like, what am I actually gonna say? I'm like, I'm trying to equate it to
every week.
things.
That's us every time I'm driving. I'm like, what are we gonna talk about today?
Well, that's what I'm curious about when I hit Benito up, on Friday, and he's like Tuesday at 4:30. All right, good deal. Like, confirm. Okay, all right, good deal. No, I guess the best way to explain it is y'all build this from nothing, right? You had 7 episodes. You get connected with the studio. You just continue to push forward, and you just make something. What drives you to be here?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That is a great question.
I think we always kind of framed it as this is kind of like girls go to therapy and guys start podcasts. So I think
I
this
love
is
that.
kind of our weekly therapy. It gives us a chance to catch up.
And just bullshit about anything.
And we're big
like
comedy
any
fans,
topic, yeah. And it was we liked King and the Sting. It was with Theo Vaughn and Brendan Schaub. And they had their show, and we would always watch. We did even hey, you gonna watch the show today? I'll go over and watch it with you.
And it was kind of like the same style, kind of it was kind of like a TV show. Like they had fan submissions, and it kind of drove the show with different topics and different what are they called? Like a pip percent.
Yeah.
What would you call it? Segments.
Segments,
Different segments.
yeah.
So, yeah, just kind of like a mental vacation is what we like to call it. It's not really, not anything, no politics or anything super crazy, just kind of come hang out with us. So it became it was kind of just like a hobby. And then we started having live shows and selling merch and stuff, which we were kind of been slacking on last year, but Yeah, it's always just been like just our thing that we're doing for us.
That's exactly how I describe it for me. Like at one point, it just became like a hobby, and it just took a little like little components take a little bit of follow through. And I'm sure you experienced that with this. You know, like whether it's hey, I need to come up with some content or cuts or something like that. But that's all it was. You just you have work, you have life, and then you're like,
I'm
well, what do I want
I'm
to do?
surprised that you're just like you've gone through this whole thing, and you're like, I probably will never like stick my foot in that again.
Well, so that's not true. That's not true, boys. That's not true. That's not true. No, for sure. But I've decided on, after having done pretty much the whole process, like we're still in post-production, I'm for sure going to write. In fact, I've already started writing in times that I'm not able to edit because I travel a lot. So when I'm traveling, I'm writing this next thing. And so writing is the biggest takeaway. I'm like, all right, I enjoy that. So it's a therapy component, right? It's time by myself, as the world just turns on. You're like, okay, if I can find a little bit of time to do my own thing, center myself, whatever that is. And for me, that's writing. So that's what I'll circle back to. Definitely. Okay. I've got, the tallied list, and then I've got, the political drama I've already started writing.
Oh, nice.
Did you have a background in writing or like?
No, so, dude, I'm a god-awful writer, and I'm an even worse reader.
Interesting. So
it's just I don't know what it is.
He wears glasses.
Maybe it's that I always sit down with a cup of coffee. Maybe it's a caffeine addiction, dude.
Could be.
You sit down and a fresh legal pad, dude. There's something really satisfying about a fresh legal pad. So like I started just writing in Google Docs, man.
Yeah.
And then I started talking to a real writer, and they're like, all movies are in final draft software. What are you thinking? And I'm like, oh God. So I already have written the whole thing, and now I'm copy pasting it into a software.
Yeah.
So like that's how behind the curve I was. And it was that times every single detail. There's an app or this or that for everything, and I knew none of it. I just went on productionhub.com, said I need people to help with sound.
I think diving just head first into it is.
You can learn anything on
that's what I'm thinking.
Anything now without, I don't know.
But it's all will.
Like it's all
like that's like my takeaway is like you can wake up and just push closer and closer toward it every single day. As long as you do something, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You just gotta push for it, and that's essentially all I've done. And the editing process is just taking longer than I thought. You hit setbacks and you just keep pushing. As long as every day you go a little bit further, it's like
editing's a pain, bro. Even like our small like videos that like we go out and have like we'll do like the food reviews.
Hey.
And we go out, and I'm the one who usually edits those, but it's like
takes forever.
It does take forever.
Okay, so
like a 6-minute.
Yeah, for like 12-minute video.
I gotta ask though, who has the best red chili in Albuquerque?
Ooh.
This is a big barometer for quality.
This is I am such.
I cook with Cervantes red chili. That's pretty.
Yeah.
Cervantes is great.
No.
I like
red out of the jar.
I'm such like Max La Sierra and Los Cuates.
Los Cuates.
Like their salsa.
Just with their Friday.
Those are my those are like my go-to.
That trip salsa.
Like New Mexican
insanely good. That
like
roasted sweet.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I threw it on some chicken one time. Like barbecue. It's like barbecue sauce.
That might be my favorite salsa.
So good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Like Sadie's salsa too.
Yeah, if you could get Sadie's chip and Los Cuates salsa.
Yeah.
God, imagine living in a place that doesn't have like the salsa selection
Dude.
of Albuquerque.
Or even free chips and salsa and a sopa.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no chili. Like.
Just go to Nebraska and you got like 3 options on the shelves.
Hey, don't do Nebraska dirty.
I went to Durango a few weeks ago, and I was like, what do I eat? I got biscuits and gravy. Worst biscuits.
Dude.
It's not even like seasoned. Huh?
Dude, it felt like I was eating cardboard.
That's crazy.
I couldn't put enough salt or pepper. I was like, do you guys have Tabasco sauce?
Couldn't say
like
that.
nothing could
People
say
people say Durango has good food too.
They do have good food. Just that place, breakfast.
Shout 'em out.
Okay.
Shout 'em out.
Shout out. Yeah, where is this?
I don't want to
good
shout
food
them
in
out.
Durango, man.
We know we're not doing it.
They got an Applebee's.
Go to Applebee's for their
Go to
biscuits and
Durango for
gravy.
their Applebee's. Right? Like, no, it's the apps, dude.
How long have you guys known each other? How did you?
7th grade.
Oh, really? So
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Is this kind of like
Jefferson Middle School.
your guys' is a little bit of actual, some of your guys' story, or
There's certainly some lore in there
lore?
that involves us, but it's not like a direct like 1-to-1.
No.
I'd say that
Yeah.
more than one of the characters, certainly draws from each of us and some of our friends, but nobody is like a true like, That was Chet. That's exactly what he was
Yeah.
like.
Shit, dude.
Yeah, like it's one of those where a lot of the stories are at least partially true, but everything's fantasy and works of fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you do have to, since it is a coming of age story, you do want things to feel natural, like it's something that like you could have done, or you heard somebody doing, or you knew that your friend tried that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Like-
a synopsis would be like 7 kids. The movie starts on high school graduation, right? And you got 7 kids who kind of have known each other throughout high school, but they've never necessarily all been entirely close. Kind of, they graduate and then they spend some time together and kind of go through normal group dynamics. And they're kind of just focused on what comes next. And it's just conversations about that. So there's kind of an underlying theme throughout the script. And it's kind of how do we respond to adversity, right? So like whatever adversity is going to look like in your life, or adversity in editing, whatever kind of comes up. So it's kind of like, it's like that. So it's just mostly cool visual shots around Albuquerque, kids talking about the future, kind of like those normal moments that probably happened. And the goal was to make it relatable. So it doesn't necessarily take place in a specific city. It doesn't necessarily take place in a specific time. So we did like a pre-cell phone. The most recent vehicle in the show would have been about a 2009 model. So like, we were pretty intentional about what's on the screen. Yeah, exactly.
You don't see kids
Because it can complicate like production, and I was like, if you add those complications, you add expenses, right? So how do we make this as cheap as possible? Don't include cell phones. Don't include a recent car or mostly I guess that was about script continuity. So that was kind of the idea, but kids hanging out and you'll see in the preview, it's just mostly kind of like going around having conversations.
Well, not like experience of like finality that you have in that one specific summer between your senior year of high school and
life.
Yeah, the future. Is it college? Is it going to work? Is it technical school? Whatever you do, there is like kind of a looming sense of dread because you went from being on top of the world to now having to figure out what is life.
But I think a bunch of people kind of ride that moment for a little while, regardless of what your next step is. You know, that summer, it's like, I'm not taking that next step yet. So there's this weird moment in life that we all kind of experience, and I wanted to just picture it.
It's that like once you graduate, you're 18. You're still too young to do anything, but you're old enough to do like start your life kind of. Like it's a weird age area.
Well, so here's my question. This is the question I want to ask everyone, and it's what are your 4 favorite coming of age movies?
Breakfast Club. I like Breakfast Club. You go. What's another one?
Yeah, what are some good ones?
Yeah, you gotta pull
Is
up
Back to the Future
Letterboxd.
coming of age?
Huh?
Yeah, why not?
I want to say to the first one.
The
Super
first
Bad,
one, Super Bad. That's about the biggest for our age.
Dude.
Super Bad was
One of
like
my
literally
favorites.
the biggest.
Yeah, literally.
Stand By Me or Lean On Me.
Stand by me.
Stand by Me. Yeah, that's a popular one. John
so
said that
good.
Goonies.
in our last podcast.
yeah,
too.
Goonies also.
John also said that in our last
Sandlot.
podcast. Sandlot's a great choice.
Sandlot.
Great choice. Not a high school one.
Not a high. It's
but,
younger.
But a lot of good lessons in
Yeah.
there. And that movie holds up.
Holds
go
up.
back and watch it.
Test of time.
What's the one? Is Johnny Depp in one with?
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
Nightmare on Elm.
Edward Scissorhands.
Edward Scissorhands. That's funny.
What about for you guys?
Well, so I'm glad you started with Breakfast Club, and,
That's one of my favorite movies ever.
I feel like John Hughes was just in a freaking rhythm in the 80s and early 90s. Like, what was that dude on? Because the world ate it up, right? Breakfast
do
Club.
Fast Times too?
He was doing. I don't know.
I don't think he did Fast Times, but I mean, you have Pretty in Pink.
Yes, that's what I was
16
one of my-
Candles.
16
Right, he's
Candles.
pitching Molly Ringwald on Breakfast Club 3 days before they're closing 16 Candles.
Dang.
He's already written that script. He's like, hey, I'm
was
gonna need
really
you on the next one. Yeah.
Good.
Home Alone.
I
Home
mean,
Alone 2.
one of my favorites was Ferris Bueller.
There's
yeah.
Oh,
That's
Ferris
what I meant,
Bueller's,
not
yeah,
Fast
Dude
such
had
a
rhythm.
classic.
Dude,
Yeah.
He just had a rhythm. So I think there's something nice about that. So I like the script itself is actually a way more like PG-13 rated script. And just over the course of making it, I was just like, hey, look at that first page too. It's like a vibe sheet. Each character got one.
Vibe sheet. Love a good vibe sheet.
Like this was like the who you
Like this was like his like who
oh,
he
Grease.
was.
Yeah.
Grease, great one.
These are just like, Yeah, so jumping topic. So that's a copy of the script, and it was a bit. All right, back to it. PG-13, and just over the course of making it, I was like, I kind of want to make it more and more relatable, more and more easy. And John Hughes never crossed the line, and I was like, all right, let's just continue to dumb it down. So there's a little bit of smoking, a little bit of drinking, but not too much, not too overt. The script is a bit more than that, but yeah, everyone got a script. We did a big old read through at Differential Brewing. They all got a copy. They all got like vibe sheets, and they got playlists. So like we were winging it. We were like, how do we convey a character to a person? And even taking like 2 steps back from that. So right, I meet up with Des at a coffee shop, and it was just assumed he was going to be a big part of this, right? You know, guys since 7th grade, you just like, hey, guess what we're doing in 2024?
I wrote a movie, bro.
Yeah, I wrote a movie. So we're making it. So just know that this is happening. And I think that was about all the sign-on needed. So then we were like, all right, let's cast a movie. So I like come up with a Google sheet. I sent out some emails, walk around with a flyer, put it up in Starbucks, C&M, UNM, put it up in just random shops, start getting hit up. People fill out a form. We go to UNM. We're like, hey, can we rent a space from you to do auditions? They were like, you need to be incorporated with insurance. I said, I haven't done that yet, So then we ended up finding a space at UNM where we could do it. Adversity, right? How do you beat adversity?
For the free.
For the free.
That's the best.
And so we did the auditions, cast the movie. In fact, shout out to one of the actors, Chris Martin, who is in a show that just dropped on Netflix, American Primeval.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so he plays Chubbs, the first cavalryman in that.
Is he from here?
Did I tell you, or did I tell you?
You watched it?
Yeah.
You did not tell me.
Yes, I did.
Really?
Yeah. You text me, and I was like, have you watched this? And you're like,
sweet.
no, should I? And I'm like, yeah.
Well, you haven't watched Lord of the Rings.
Gory. But yeah, so Chris Martin's in it. He's kind of reviving his acting career. He was a boyfriend on several Nickelodeon shows when he was a teenager in his 20s. And then he came back here, he had a family, and now he hit up an agent, and he's just started booking stuff. And he wanted some raw footage from a feature, so we brought him on. And he's actually, prior to that, so basically, you got this cast of high schoolers, and then we wanted some sort of figure, right? So in all those movies you mentioned, there's like a figure in some capacity, whether it's an actual person or some idea or something. And so we wanted someone that kind of like not necessarily a moral North Star or something like that. I'm not sure how you describe it, but just someone who kind of like puts them on their trajectory and stirs this notion of thinking about the future. And so that was their theater teacher, right? So they're 7 theater kids. This is their theater teacher. So the movie begins with a monologue of him kind of like stirring this notion in their minds. And then that kind of launches all of them off from that. And it was originally written, actually, do we do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was originally written for like a big time actor who I thought I could get. I shot my shot. Do this Albuquerque. You
gotta shoot your shot.
Yeah, so
you miss 100% of the shots you don't shoot.
I know, and we got a lot closer than I thought we would. But it was written for Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh wow!
And we were trying to get him on the project. It didn't happen, but we still love him. And it was just a funny Albuquerque connection thing. Yeah. And
MPH,
we got the script. We got the script sent, but it didn't end up. So we got an awesome dude, Chris Martin, American Primeval. We're pretty happy about that. I haven't seen it though.
It's good. But I would love to see this trailer and put some eyes on it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do it.
Let's do it.
Can you just put it on this back
hopefully
one?
we don't get dinged.
Please?
So yeah, this trailer was made by the DIT, which is a position I didn't know even exists, and that's the dude who's downloading the memory cards from the camera as you're filming. So we filmed at such a massive, I think it was 6K. So we were filming. We needed to switch memory cards every 18 minutes of footage.
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
And so, yeah, I'm sitting on several terabytes of raw footage because it's so massive. And he was just downloading it constantly. And over the course of that, he threw together a little unofficial trailer of just basically some shots.
Yeah.
So we can
Is it
check
okay
it
if
out.
we show it?
It's okay with me, but it does have a song that has copyright on it.
Oh yeah,
that's fine.
All right, let's do
don't
it.
make
Yeah.
Let's do it.
If we hum a song, we
If
get
we
copy-
hum a song, we get freaking wrecked on it, so it's cool.
That being said, let's break a leg.
All the other girls so superficial. Picture perfect frames, leave them hanging up. Still take 28 late night firefight if it means so much to you. Something in the way that you won't forget all the stupid things that I really meant.
Looks legit, guys.
Dude, that looks sweet.
It looks legit.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's just a random video that we threw up on TikTok, and so that's park.closes.movie on TikTok and Instagram, and we'll start posting on Instagram as we get closer to the release. But for right now, we've just got a couple videos on TikTok.
Dude, that's awesome.
Heck yeah.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, how does it work with music? Like, do you guys have to? Is that expensive too? With like a soundtrack?
Yeah, so I did explore that, and I explored it for a specific band. I was trying to get Painkiller by Beach Bunny because it's about a 5.5 minute song, and it's got 3 different vibes to it. It's got like because it's supposed to be about a drug user, so it's got kind of a different energy, and then it's got an instrumental, and then it's got a different energy. And I was like, I could take this one song and use it in a whole bunch of different ways. And I was in negotiation. It took me, dude, it is hard to get your hands on music rights.
That's what I figured, yeah.
But eventually, you go through Wikipedia, you find a label, you find your website, you find an email, you send emails into the distance, random people respond and give you other emails, and you eventually start talking to someone, and they start giving you prices. And what's tough is my uncle works for Universal UMG, and he sells music. So he sells random copyright music to shows, and ESPN is one of them. Friends, he sold music to, so like a whole bunch of different shows. And he told me market rate would be a lot lower than they were quoting me. So they were just trying to get me. So I threw in the towel, and they stopped responding. But instead, we came across a composer who lives here in Albuquerque named Thomas Rapp, who's done a bunch of movies. And so he's put a composition together that's really legit. He's got songs for each kind of character, like think Star Wars, right? The Empire gets a song, Luke gets a song, Yoda got a song. So he's done that.
He wrote it specifically for this movie?
For this movie,
oh,
yeah.
Wow, that's
Thomas Rapp, yeah. And so we're working with Volt Studios, which Heyman, as well as our cinematographer Samuel Tomatz, are affiliated with. So they've got some experience there. They're the only Dolby studio, certified studio here in New Mexico. So we're probably going to use that. And he wrote this whole soundtrack. He composed the whole thing for this movie specifically.
Wow.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
So I mean, as sick as it would be to license a whole bunch of music like Project X, where they just throw in all these awesome songs of
Right.
the generation,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It would have been sick to just throw in like the Shins and Phoenix, because that's like the whole movie's based on like music videos that happened in my mind, and I'm biking around Albuquerque, and I'm like, that would be such a sick shot with like framed with trees, and while I'm listening to a song by the Kooks,
Yeah.
Yep.
But music's more expensive than it would cost to make a movie.
Yeah, seriously. That's crazy.
And you got to pay separate things. So I didn't even know. Again, I just send in emails, and they're like, you got to pay $2,000 for, or was it one? I don't know, for just a film festival circuit, and that'll be a 2-year license. So then if it does well, you got to pay us, but we're not going to give you a quote until after we find out how well it does on the film circuit. And you're like, well, what? Are you gonna just jip?
Yeah.
Like, are you just gonna take advantage of me down the line?
Yes.
So I don't know, but
So how long is this movie? Are you guys
so it's
thinking?
about 8 to 9 page script. So I anticipate it to be 80 to 85 minutes long.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Usually about a page per.
Okay.
That's
That
a good
makes
length.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. All the hoops you have to jump through that I can't even.
Yeah, you don't even think about, I guess, when
It's
you're
kinda
like
funny.
getting into it, right?
Yeah, we incorporate it. Yeah, so like other things, you incorporate, and there's not too many resources out there to help. I'm sure y'all have dealt with barriers with like just getting the podcast off the ground and various things. And so you got to incorporate, reach out to the city, get a film license, pay them. They're like, we'll insure, you contact insurance, we'll insure 5 locations. So I contact all my locations, which ones am I going to need insurance at? I'm like, all right, let's film. So we filmed at Differential Brewing, inside, outside. We filmed at La Serenita. We filmed at Quarters Liquor. We filmed at First Presbyterian Church. We filmed at Albuquerque High School. We filmed at the Tennis Club of Albuquerque. We filmed at the John B. Roberts Dam. We filmed at my house. We filmed everywhere, all in 6 days. And we were a whole operation. So we had 27 people helping. We had like a pre-crew that would go set up 2 tents, like, tailgate tents, and some chairs and a table with snacks. And then we would, then the next people would, like my wife, Riley, and her sister, they'd show up and they'd get like a whole costume tent set up so like people can go and change inside, and they'd get all the makeup and costume set, and then last would be the actors, and even before that, like the camera and the sound people would show up and they'd get set up, and then the actors would show up, they'd get set for makeup, costumes, sound last, and then we'd try and get as many cuts as possible. And so it was a bit cutthroat, right? We are we've got like, say 2 or 3 hours on a location. You've had the script for 2 months. You look them in the eye and you say, I'm giving you 3 shots. Make your impact on acting. Like do your thing. And if it's not there, we're gonna have to deal with that in editing. So that's kind of how it was handled. And it was very much on the fly.
Well, and mind you, we're recording this or filming the movie the week of the 4th of July. It was like 97 degrees that whole week we were filming. And we were filming a lot of parking lots, a lot of outdoor shots, and so
Just getting cooked.
Oh yeah, and I mean, you had people like Ben and Seth who were there the entire day. They got there at 6 a.m. before anybody else, and they were there until we were done filming at 8, 9 p.m. And I mean, yeah. Well, no, I mean, then we would go back to Ben's house and review the footage that we filmed that day, and discuss the plan for what tomorrow was going to bring. And yeah, I wouldn't leave Ben's house until midnight. And like I said, I had to be back there with the crew. So I got there about an hour after Ben did. But yeah, Ben and Seth were there right at, like I said, like 6 a.m. And I'd roll in at like 7:30. And yeah, when we would be working on the film until midnight for 6 out of 7 days. We took 1 day off, 4th of July, to make sure that everyone got a chance to spend time for the holiday. But it was a grueling process. But we got it done, which is the craziest part.
Yeah.
Like
I think even like seeing that like little trailer thing that you guys cut together, that would like get me excited too. Just like
That's out.
it's
Trailers are hard
actually
to do too, right?
something like it looks like something very interesting that just, like I would want to watch that.
Michael did a good job with that. Michael
Yeah.
Magical, he's gonna help out with editing too for the final push. Yeah, it was a lot. Like, so we did a little rap party at the end at Bosky Brewing there on Eubank, and that's when he like rolled it out of nowhere. I didn't even know that was gonna happen, So it was a little emotional because for years of my life I picture these things. I write these lines, and then I'm watching them here, 10 p.m. and I've had 18 hours of sleep in the last
4 days.
And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so emotional about it. And it's tough because I don't have anyone to share. You don't have, to the same degree, you're not sharing that emotion with anyone. Because a lot of people, they show up, they do the project, and they walk away. And then one day it comes out, and then they're like, oh, that was good. Whereas, if you're in my position or even our position or maybe like more around it for a longer period of time, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that, because you see all the little things behind it. So here's another thing. I now watch every movie differently. Like
sure.
every little thing, is the camera shaking? What angles are they choosing? All these different things. And if you get caught on Film Talk or even just like movie reviews, like they'll break down genius directors and stuff, and you're like, holy cow, like I didn't even pick up on that. But
There's levels to this
there's
shit.
so much, and I tried to pack it in the same way, and it's hard. It's hard, but it you watch it differently. You think about the editing, you think about the sound, like Nosferatu was a really good one that came out recently.
It was excellent.
Yes.
Eggers is one of my favorite guys.
Well, so that's
Is there a producer or director?
Director, writer, yeah. And my
That movie's beautiful.
my wife is not into horror, but I'm huge on vampires. So we're like driving to go see it day after Christmas, and I'm like so pumped. I'm wearing the shirt. She got me the shirt for Christmas
nice.
with Lily Rose Depp's bleeding eyes, and she was like, "So what's this actually going to be like?" And I said, "Well, Robert Eggers." So you're basically going to see either one character looking small with a massive, gorgeous shot, or one close-up on them, or just like kind of like a couple people. It's like very simple. I was like, and it's going to be very muted colors. Like it's going to be suppressed, and all of it's on purpose. And so like things that caught me off guard about Nosferatu was his breathing, dude. I didn't expect that. And everyone was on about the mustache, and I'm like, they made his presence more felt than just how he looked weird.
It was so good. Sexy vampire, dude. You gotta watch it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch it.
All right, dude. Not until you see his hip bones in the last second.
And his
dude.
wiener.
Woo!
He's got a piece. I'm just kidding.
You do though.
It was lower medium size. No, that was such a good movie. I work over at Flick's Brewhouse now with a bunch of coworkers that are. Some of them they work up with Netflix over there, and a bunch of them are going to college for film. So they're doing like little short films and stuff, and they're all like really big movie buffs. I'm just like a big movie guy, movie fan, but they're all like movie nerds. So It's cool talking with them about that. They all really liked Nosferatu. It was really good.
Oh, I bet.
I was gonna ask about forgot something about both of you guys. Forgot.
Yeah.
So you said you have like you already started writing your next one.
Oh, I
Do you see yourself like you said you're a horror fan? Would you get into that?
Horror?
Yeah.
No.
No?
No.
Uh-uh.
No. But I would do things differently. Horror, I couldn't do vampire. Maybe. At this time it's not my vibe.
Yeah.
I'm a
I guess it
cozy
would
guy.
just depend on
Cozy guy.
the mindset, I guess
Yeah.
you're in at
Yeah,
the time
We
writing.
talked about the Terrifier movies and how
Yeah.
the first one was like made off like $15,000 budget, and then they just blew up. And those are I haven't even seen any of them, but I did a rabbit hole the other day, and it's
Horror you can do
it's
for cheap.
insane.
Horror you can do for cheap, right? That's like the myth behind a lot of the big ones.
Really?
Blair Witch Project was,
Oh, yep.
cheap. Saw 1 was like $1 million. Horror you can do for cheap. And
Texas
so
Chainsaw
maybe
Massacre. Just
gotta
maybe
blow
that's
up.
one you'd go for, but I'm just not like crime unsettles me.
Yeah.
Like I can't do true crime.
I love it.
I don't know, but for some reason vampires are it. But
Was it? I guess you kind of already covered it, but when you went like from putting pen to paper and then actually seeing like them acted out in a scene, like even you behind the camera, like when you were like, was there any time where you were like, that's not what I wanted? Like that isn't how I thought it was gonna be on like when I wrote it.
yeah.
And then did you have like I'm sure you had to adjust them like no I need you to maybe act it this way.
Yeah, so if anything, that was one of the things I felt comfortable doing. And so like you hit the nail on the head. You like have something in your brain, and then you cast someone because you write it not knowing what the heck someone's gonna look like, and then you actually find someone and you're like, that'll do, or that's fantastic. How we scored, and I'm pretty sure we scored with just about everybody, or everybody. And those are like the minor corrections. So like you're watching it, it's all set up. It takes, how much time, and you're stressed about every second. And then basically the camera had a really cool device so I could watch it on my iPad. And then I just had the headset on the audio, and I was live watching it as it was all happening. And I would just walk over and just say, all right, this is what needs to change. I think a big part of it was we were just trying to get the group to be comfortable around each other, right? They're all just young adults
friends,
who are
right?
interested in acting. And it's like, yeah, if I can just get that to be organic, let's just capture it on camera. So some of like the B-roll is literally stuff when they weren't, the camera was just on rolling and they were just making jokes with each other. Yeah, because that's the organic stuff that you're trying to capture.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I would say more than a watchable movie, this is just something that's like a vibe. Like, you'd be fine just putting it on as you're falling asleep or in the background, right? So that was kind of like I'd go in and you'd be like, I definitely pictured this differently. Or sometimes it felt like you were leading an orchestra.
Okay.
You got a table, you got all 7 people spread in front of you, and you're like, all right, this is what I need, and you're a looming shadow over them, and not in like a horror way, but yeah, kind of directing the actions for sure, or the reactions, and then they all delivered. It was pretty good, and that like if you didn't get in that shot, you're also going to do coverage, right? So 1, 2, 3. So if I'm looking ugly right now, or it's a bad angle, they can just show you. So a lot of magic happens in editing. And a lot of it just came down to how much time we had in each location. So I would definitely direct more if we have more. Like if I knew this is the last place we're going to be at Quarters, we were there till midnight. And shout out the owner, or La Serenita, because they were just in the back making salsa for us. The dude was messing around, trying different salsa recipes and just bringing us chips and salsa the whole night. And he was so excited that we were filming there. He's got an awesome meat smoking situation. You should go check it out. And since I knew that we were going to be there for like 6 hours, I was nitpicky. Like I didn't, and I would push for what I wanted. But if you don't have the time, you just don't.
What's the most takes, I guess, a scene took for you guys, do you think?
I mean, that one scene in the restaurant at La Serenita is probably a terabyte of data. Probably.
The big table?
So when you put it all in order and you look at all of it, it's 12 and a half hours of footage. And I'm trying to cut it down to like the best 80 minutes. And that one scene's probably an hour.
Oh.
Yeah, and screen time, it'll be maybe 12 minutes. maybe 9 minutes, somewhere between 9 to 12. So it's definitely a lot, but it just depended on how much time you had in each location. Because there were some times when you just be like, boom, you got it. They understood. First take, move on. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste time on getting a
Exactly.
second take. You know.
Oh yeah, nothing was more exhilarating than when you knew you nailed a shot.
Yeah.
When it was just like,
Yes.
that was it.
On to the next.
On to the next one. You did perfect. That is exactly what
That's awesome.
the vision was for this scene. You nailed it emotionally. You nailed the lines. You nailed the blocking. Perfect. Let's go.
Did you have any background on this before?
Ben and I had a brief background in theater at the high school level. I've dabbled in a couple of local community theater projects, but that's the closest thing I had to a background in film. We went in pretty blind and put it all together, which was crazy because like Ben said, a lot of the people that worked on it had a background. His friend Seth, like you said, lives in LA and works with film studios currently.
Right now,
Yeah, actively, and his input was just priceless.
Yeah.
He could see different things and
Continuity things.
yeah, yes, him bringing up like, no, we need to change his hair, or he was wearing this watch that day. Just little continuity things that could unravel the whole project that you wouldn't even notice. But
Yeah.
I have
So,
a-
the first person that does.
So one of my favorite shows is Smallville, right? And I watch I watch this podcast called Talkville where Michael Rosenbaum and Tom Welling, the two main characters, they just like rewatch. It's like a rewatch podcast, and they go through it and kind of just talk about them filming it and stuff. But they talked about how episodes, because there was like 20 episodes a season, right? And they would talk about how they would film certain scenes in an episode. They would film them out of order. So are you guys filming from beginning to end of the movie, or are you guys filming certain shots that are like at the end? Are you filming those first? Or because I guess as an actor, that'd be kind of tough to film like the end of a movie. Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Yeah, no, for sure. And that makes a lot of sense. But like Ben was saying, we were trying to get as much content filmed as quickly as possible.
Okay.
And so when we were at a location, we needed to get pretty much every shot that required that location, done in a day. And so it did require some jumping around and a few things. A couple of times we even had to change locations on the fly because the shots just weren't working out. And that's
or the temperature.
or the temperature. And again, that's just, unfortunately, just lost footage that will never see the light of day because we have some shots at one location, but too much traffic, too much background noise, too much things happening that we just had to change to a different outdoor location that looked similar enough that we could get those same shots done, but in a more secluded space where we weren't having the background noise, we weren't having the interruptions, so that we had to stop, break down, and move, but that saved us more time than trying to force these shots at the original location.
And did that mess with like the script at all? Did you have to do any script changes on the fly, or did the script say pretty much? Or
There were a couple, like two that I remember notes that you're like, all right, we'll have to just make sure that's correct in editing. But it would, like, I think it plays itself out more in little details, right? You can watch a movie and you'll be like, that towel was just there and now it's gone.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
change angles and you go back and
on Squid Game, they had
little
the
examples like that.
The
camera
camera
guy
guy
in the first season.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that'll happen. I think
Luckily, we only
they had
had
a
one camera.
Starbucks cup in Game of Thrones.
Yes.
In Harry Potter 4 or 2, there's a cameraman. Little stuff like that. And that's just missed in editing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like just being from Albuquerque, a lot of hanging out that senior summer for us was like hanging out at a park or like a hangout spot, a lookout.
Sonic.
And it would be the sunsets. Yes, hitting Sonic and stuff like that. And so we, a lot of the nights that we're trying to capture are the sun going down. And unfortunately, the weather just didn't cooperate. We had the flood the very first night of filming.
Jesus.
Remember that flood on like June 30th? It was brutal. And you're like, how is this our look?
Yeah.
Like we
It's
get
always something.
13 minutes of footage and we're like, run to the cars, cover the camera.
Jeez.
Yeah.
We were filming on a floodplain. We were at
we were
the
at the
dam
dam,
in the
yeah.
Heights, And we're trying to film
seconds from the rain.
Yeah, by the time we got to the cars and had the cars started,
Soaked.
the rain was starting to get near the curb.
Oh, wow.
Like, you couldn't see. We had to book it out of there. That
It
was
was something.
insane.
It's always something.
But then we got our one sunset. And so to your question, we were on UNM, another, hey, we were insured. That was all legit. We were on the UNM parking structure, top floor, and, or like the top balcony area. And it was like, all right, this film, it's got to be in order. The sun's going down. We're racing the sun. We need the shots to make sense. We have to film the scene in order. We have to get our takes before the light changes too much. So that, yeah, we had to do that a couple times. Indoors, you're kind of good. You're controlled. You can control the
Yeah.
sound really well and stuff like
Gotcha.
that. But that happened.
Learning
to me.
process.
Yeah, where did you, like, in writing, where was it like, okay, this is it, I'm done? Like,
The script is never done.
that's what I was
Heck
thinking.
no.
Yeah.
No, I could spend another year on it and it would be significantly better. But what happened was, and this is a big part of like just holding yourself accountable, is I just set a date and I said, I can ask people for favors the week of July 4th because it's on a Thursday. They get Friday off, or at least a lot of my family and in-laws, they'd all get Friday off. So I was like, all I'm asking is for them to give a little time on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of that week. And then I know, boom, I have like a 9-day chunk to work with. And so that's what I did. And I just said, this is the date we're filming. And, people would push back and they'd be like, this is going to be hard. This is challenge, this or that. And again, it's just that will. And you just wake up every day and you're pushing towards something. I have a job. Like I'm still managing my job while all this is happening. And you're just trying to figure it out every day and push forward. So it was like setting a date really helped. And just sticking to it, and
Yeah.
no matter what, it was just like we're not going to change.
So
if I have to
did you write up until you guys?
The final version of the script that we sent to the cast would have been on like April 26th, and we started filming on June 30th.
Okay.
And then there were a couple little edits and changes made before we did like a cast read through on like May 2nd or something. So they got the script like 5 days before we did a group read through, and I mean, I didn't make significant story changes, but I definitely just went through and just continued to be like, what's continuity? And I tried to like seam a lot of it together. Cause like I said, it's just kind of a series of music videos in my brain. And how do you actually make a story of that?
Right.
How do you actually add continuity to that or purpose or something like that? While also like the content itself is just derived from, adjacent experiences we've experienced. But I don't know, but I want to talk a little bit more about just movies generally. If y'all were to write a script, what would it be? Would you do horror?
No.
Because I'm thinking
not a horror
I'm thinking political drama. I want to do like A Few Good Men. I want something. Not necessarily
White House
Courtroom,
Down.
but White House Down. Yeah, Independence Day. No.
Olympus is
Armageddon. Yeah,
Olympus
that's
is
what it's.
Y'all are picking not a single Aaron Sorkin. We're talking politics. Not a single Aaron Sorkin.
One of my favorite movies is called Good Will Hunting is another coming of age one. That's
Boom.
When you talked about the theater teacher, that'd be kind of like the
Yeah.
Robin Williams, right?
Precisely.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies ever. Or like Primal Fear with Edward Norton.
Yes.
And Richard Gere. I like a good psychological thriller with a twist. I like a lot of the A24 movies that they make.
They're doing great.
Yeah.
And Neon too.
Who?
Neon?
Yeah.
That
Yep.
other studio.
I don't know. Interstellar. I don't know if I could write a script, but that's my
Yeah.
favorite movie ever.
I know I could not write a script.
No way.
But
I could.
Ha!
I just saw that in IMAX like 3 weeks ago when they re-released it.
Oh my God.
It was the best cinematic experience of my life.
Maddie.
It was-
Shout out Maddie. Goodness, I just rewatched Dallas Buyers Club, dude. Oh my
that-
God, that
that's
guy, dude. What a
that's
year.
a
2014,
He's
what
a
a
legend,
year.
dude.
That's insane. Yeah, and Anne Hathaway is coming back for Chris Nolan's next one.
What is it gonna be? It's gonna be about fuck. I was just looking it up.
Yeah.
It's gonna be about something with history again. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't write a script.
Tom
I wouldn't
Holland.
even know where to begin.
or even like
Zendaya, isn't it?
Zendaya's in it. Tom Holland's in it.
what about not necessarily like a movie, but like a TV series?
Yeah.
I think you could do
Yeah,
something.
like
Hell,
a streaming
no, so-
movies are just like, or streaming series are just like long.
Yeah,
movies
just
now.
long movies.
well,
Like,
I-
every
right?
episode is a
Because
movie.
like I was thinking, what was it?
Cillian Murphy.
With Matthew
His
McConaughey.
limited series. Oh, you're thinking True Detective.
True Detective.
Season
That
one.
Season 1, bro, is amazing. One of the best shows I've ever seen. Like
Yeah.
just the
the tracking shot right
Yeah.
to the drug houses.
Oh my
And
God.
everything
The climax
is
at the end.
crazy.
Exactly,
Yeah.
the climax when they're
Yeah.
telling a story and you're watching the events play out
And he's
and hearing
talking
the
about-
story
yeah.
and they're not correlating.
Yes.
At times it's like,
What is going on?
Oh my God.
Yes,
It's perfect.
But
Yeah,
that
that
is like
was
one of
insane.
like one of my favorite shows, and I was like, yeah, so like that would be cool.
Like something like this. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. And that's where I screwed up is I kind of wrote dialogue for a series when I should have thought more about the idea of a movie. Because a movie, I don't think about it, I think about it now as a movie is very much like a visual like thing, like Dune, right? Like
Right.
Denis Villeneuve is doing good. Wind River he did. And does a good job of like using the visual element. And that to me is what separates it from, or not just to me, but that's one of the things that I should have better incorporated in writing this script, as opposed to like I mostly did a bunch of dialogue to push the story forward when you don't have to. You can tell everything about a person by just a couple shots or even just a little. I heard a story today and I was like, this older woman used to go square dancing in a little red dress, and then her husband died. And I heard that and I was like, damn, I filled in every detail. I'm like, okay, so she's at the Dirty Bourbon. I can picture the dress and the
Yeah.
little details and her and her husband late. I know exactly what you're saying. And I'm like, dang, it doesn't take too many words to like fill in an image for someone's brain. And that's how I'm going to like approach scripts differently the second time. Like I
And-
said,
yeah.
political drama, I'm like, I envision, DC is one of the most beautiful cities in my mind. Just the construction and all the gorgeous shots. I'm like, man, it would be sick if Denis Villeneuve went and did a movie there because you just see the city differently.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I want to
Architecture,
push.
like
Yeah.
historical
A lot less
architecture.
dialogue and just kind of more utilizing
I think
the
that's
visual.
just probably from you like actually starting to write and doing this.
Yeah.
You think of things a lot
Yeah.
differently now.
Well, I learned that you got to trust all the different players in a movie. So I wrote chunks of the script as we see, or from this angle. And I wrote it almost like because I had the cinematography in mind, but also I brought in a cinematographer they're just going to have a better eye for it. They're going to know the lenses, they're going to know the cameras, they're going to be way better at that. But I took them to every location and I was just like, this is what I want. This is what I saw. This is what it was in my brain. And then he went and did his thing with it. And now I'm like, I don't have to write a script like that.
right.
I can describe what it's like to be, in a podcast recording studio with 3 screens and 4 guys, just jawing off. And then they can figure out the angles.
Yeah.
And they'll probably do a good job because it's all kind of, the foundation's there in film.
Exactly.
Very, very rarely do we deviate too much.
oh yeah, watching professionals do their work was crazy. Like watching Sam have the vision and Wendy put the lighting together, and just everything they did was just like, damn.
It's cool watching a master of the craft.
Yeah, they're doing stuff that I would have never thought I've never looked at before.
And I would say there was 100% moment of reality sinking in. Day one, scene one, when we've got everybody there. And I think a lot of the people a ton of the people had no idea what to expect, except maybe 3 or 4 of us. And, we pull out the camera and we set up the lighting, and a ton of people were like, whoa, this is a lot more intense and thought out, and it's going to be a lot more professional than you would expect. Not to say it was professional in the least, but we just tried to do what we could. We
Right.
implemented our skills from working in corporate America and our organizational and our scheduling ability, and we just tried to input that into what it takes to make a film.
Going off that, we got about 5 minutes left. You guys said that you guys are in post production. The movie's done. What is where do we go from here? What are the next steps to where people can see it? You said they're doing a film festival or trying to get into the film festival.
So we'll have hopefully in like 2 months we'll have a final raw cut ready to go and to be put into the film festival circuit. So again, I've just done the same thing, like Google, how do you do that? And there's 2 websites and you just choose one and you upload your movie, and then you're
gonna have
click
like
submit to a whole bunch of things like applying to college.
Yeah, gosh.
And you just got to pay an application fee. And so I'm going to be picky and choosy, and I've got a friend who works for one of the big ones, and I'm going to do that one, and then I'll do a couple cheap regional ones and anything that's free. And then after all that's done, after it's been viewed by a couple people and I have a good idea, then we'll look at either doing a big old event here in Albuquerque at I'd love to do Rio 24 because I know they rent out, but I'm cheap. So it might be the Guild, because the Guild was they were very homey about the possibility
Where's
of us
that, right
doing
here?
that.
On Central?
Yeah, right
Yeah,
there on Central
right
and
there in
Knob
Knob
Hill.
Hill.
That would be
Sweet.
cool.
So that would be a good one. That's they're guaranteed locked. They're really nice.
Let
and
us
they support
know.
local
I
food.
want to watch it.
Yeah, we'll
Ah!
go for sure.
Yes.
I also want to get you guys in contact with Noah from Only Kings. He does a podcast, a local podcast. He's one of our good friends. He'd love to have you guys on to help promote this
do.
stuff.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He just does a little solo show, and he has a bunch of local people, comics, and people doing different kinds of stuff from all walks of
Yeah.
life. So
Good deal.
One of
We'll
our
get
good
you his number
good
for
buddies.
sure.
Yeah, he'll take care of you guys too.
For sure.
But yeah, today was one of like my favorite
I
episodes.
was just gonna
yeah.
say this is one of my,
It was
this is one of my
cool.
favorite ones,
Very
too.
like yeah.
We
Out
usually,
of 146.
Yeah, dude. it's
well, 120 of 100, probably 40 of them are just us. I don't even know. What
Yeah.
we
Oh, I've
talk
seen
about, dude.
I've seen the
Yeah.
clips. I've seen the clips.
yeah, but like actually like having people on, sometimes the dynamic's a little weird. Because they're not sure. Some people don't know like
Yeah.
how to talk into a mic.
Yeah, or
Eh.
don't really know what they're promoting. And we'll cut that out. But or like just don't really know how to get kind of camera
Shy.
shy, camera
I get
shy.
you, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, this is
It,
you
well,
guys are
your
really-
setup. Let's say your setup is intimidating, and there's a
Yes.
moment of surprise. You walk in the room and you're like, "My goodness."
Whoa.
This-
Yeah.
well, I mean, you see that. I've of course seen the quality that you've generated
Yeah.
in media. You know, your TikToks are like every 5 from me, or not TikTok, Instagram. I don't know. You know, and your YouTube, like the content's phenomenal and super high quality. But then you walk in the room and you're still kind of shocked.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. Thank
yeah.
you.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, you guys want to plug Instagrams or any of do you guys want personal Instagrams or how people can find out more about the?
Yeah, it's just park.closes.movie on Instagram and TikTok, and we'll start posting on Instagram pretty soon. And that's it. I'm not like a plug type of guy. I'm not.
Yeah, I
like
think that's probably the best thing. Yeah, just follow updates on the movie, and that's where they'll all be. We'll have clips from this episode, clips from our other podcast, and if we can get connected with that other guy, clips from a third podcast for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely. We'll take care of you guys.
Yeah,
We
we'll,
have some connections.
We'll get some clips. I guess we can run it by you guys if we can. Probably can't show that trailer on Instagram.
Do it.
Okay.
I don't know if they cut
Cool.
it or whatever, you know.
That
Gets
works.
flagged. Take it down.
Is this the
Yeah,
The one you
one of
guys
them,
use?
yeah. So that's
It's
two of them.
like-
This
oh,
one's
nice.
sticky because this one I put on a metal pole, right? And so you saw at the end of that trailer, everybody would sign it, and I was like, that's how we'll do the movie credits. Everybody signs it, and I tried to tell them to sign big. Some people still sign small. And then I had them sign it back afterwards, so I got a
Nice.
little memento, and hopefully some people get famous in this. You know,
Yeah,
I got this
exactly.
autograph one day. So yeah, we got a couple real park signs. And it was a good movie, and people contributed a heck of a lot. Here are all the shout outs that
That's
I should
awesome.
be making. You know, not plugs, but you know, Dan, Macy, Michael Madrigal, Wendy, Sam, Eve, Chris, Riley, Desi. I can't read it. Some of these.
Desi.
Oh, there's
Macy,
Desi.
Seth.
There you go.
No, for sure.
Seth.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, guys. Well,
we
we
appreciate
appreciate
you
you
guys
guys
coming
coming on, and it was an awesome podcast. I can't wait to watch this. Hopefully, you guys kill it, and it's better than you even expected it to be. So,
We'll have to
Hey,
get
as-
back on for,
yeah,
for the
as-
next project.
Yeah.
As much as you appreciate it, we appreciate this
Yeah.
way
Oh, yeah.
more.
This is great
Absolutely.
experience. Thank you so
Pleasure,
much.
guys.
of
Thank
course,
you.
guys. All right, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment below. Go follow the boys. Make sure you go, wait till that movie comes out. It's gonna be awesome. We appreciate you guys so much for all the love and support. Play the music.